大家好, I'm Martin, and this is Short Stories, brought to you by the Taichung Keda Language Center. Today's short story is called Pecos Bill. Pecos Bill is an American folk hero and is a representative of the American West, and specifically Texas. He was created by writer Edward O'Reilly in 1917 and continues to fascinate children with his crazy stories of the Wild West even to this day. Before I begin today's story, I will give you some vocabulary and vocabulary example sentences. After the story, I will read 4 listening comprehension questions. Let's get started. Vocabulary. In the midst of. In the midst of something. I'm in the midst of writing my homework. Ditch. Ditch. We ditched the old car and bought a new one. Coyote. Coyote. Or coyote. Coyote. 2 different ways to pronounce. The coyote is a prominent figure in Native American folklore. Cowboy. Cowboy. The ranch hired 11 cowboys. Lasso. Lasso. Cowboys used lassos to catch cattle. Wily. Wily. He was never arrested because he was very wily. Ranch. Ranch. The ranch hired 11 cowboys. Mare. Mare. He is riding a red mare. Fella. Fella. 2 fellas walked into the bar and ordered some drinks. Smitten. Smitten. He was smitten by the beautiful young lady. Now for the story. Pecos Bill was born in the midst of the Battle of the Alamo in 1836. His mother and father were killed, and the victorious Mexican soldiers gave him to one of their cooks to raise. She wasn't very interested and decided to ditch the baby near the Pecos River. A family of coyotes found him and nursed him. 16 years later, Bill was still living with his coyote family when a cowboy found him. The cowboy was astonished. He had never seen a young man who thought he was a coyote before. The cowboy tried to lasso Bill, but Bill was too wily. Eventually, the cowboy managed to capture Bill by howling at the moon. Bill couldn't help but howl too. He stopped running, closed his eyes, and howled. It was then that the cowboy managed to throw a net on him. The cowboy took Bill back to the ranch, where he was cleaned up and given his name. The ladies of the ranch made attempts to civilize him, but they only managed to teach him to speak and not much else. He was much more interested in working as a ranch hand, which he was very good at. Bill quickly became the toughest cowboy in all of Texas. He rode a mare named Widowmaker. For a lasso, he used a rattlesnake. His boots were made of 2 Gila monsters that he had caught with his teeth. When he slept, he preferred to use a cactus as a pillow and a live cougar as a blanket. Some even claim that his favorite breakfast consisted of barbed wire and dynamite. One day, while herding his cattle near the Rio Grande, Bill saw something that astonished him: a woman riding a very large catfish. He called over to the woman, "Howdy!" She called back, "Howdy, big fella." She jumped off her catfish onto the riverbank, spat out a wad of granite that she had been chewing on, and said, "My name's Slewfoot Sue. What's yours?" Bill was immediately smitten. Never had he met anyone who was as tough and wild as he was. During their courtship, Bill would try to impress Sue with amazing feats. He pointed at a star in the sky and said, "That one is for you." He then took out his gun and shot it out of the sky. Pew! It fell directly into Sue's open hands. She liked it so much that she sewed it into a saddle blanket, which later became the flag of Texas. One day, Sue felt confident enough to ask Bill for a truly special request. "Can I ride Widowmaker?" she asked. Bill didn't know what to say. He was the only person in the world who could ride Widowmaker, but he couldn't say no to his sweet Sue. Widowmaker was the orneriest horse you could ever meet. She didn't let anyone ride her except for Bill. When Sue came along, Widowmaker got even ornerier. She was jealous of Sue and wanted Bill all to herself. Widowmaker saw this as an opportunity to get rid of Sue forever. When Sue sat on Widowmaker, there was no problem at first. Sue rode a few paces away from Bill. "This is mighty grand. I don't know what you were worried about," exclaimed Sue. Just then, Widowmaker started bucking like never before. She bucked so hard that Sue bounced high into the sky. She didn't stop until she landed on the moon. Bill was angry and heartbroken. He didn't know what to do. Just then, a tornado formed nearby. Bill had an idea. He used his rattlesnake rope to lasso the tornado. He positioned it just right and then jumped inside. The tornado spun so fast that it hurled Bill all the way to the moon. With the lasso in one hand and Sue in the other, he pulled himself back to Earth. They landed near what is now Houston. They hit the ground so hard that it left a 30-kilometer wide hole. That hole is now Galveston Bay. Widowmaker felt sorry for what she had done and apologized. Slewfoot Sue and Pecos Bill got married and lived happily ever after. It's time for the listening questions. Number 1. What was special about Pecos Bill's birth? A. He was born during the Mexican Revolution. B. He was born during the American Revolution. C. His parents were coyotes. D. His parents were killed at the Alamo. The answer is D. His parents were killed at the Alamo. Question 2. How did Pecos Bill meet Slewfoot Sue? A. She was riding a fish. B. She was riding Widowmaker. C. She was wrestling a cougar. D. She was bouncing on the moon. The answer is A. She was riding a fish. Question 3. Why did Widowmaker bounce Sue to the moon? A. She wanted to help Sue travel to the moon. B. She was jealous of Sue. C. Sue killed her parents. D. Sue asked her to bounce her. The answer is B. She was jealous of Sue. Question 4. What did Pecos Bill use for a lasso? A. A rope. B. A cactus. C. A snake. D. A gun. The answer is C. A snake. That's the end of today's short story. I hope you enjoyed it, and I just want to end by saying that Pecos Bill, like all folk heroes, is a symbol for some aspect of American culture or history. What Pecos Bill represents is America's wild independence and our sense of ourself. Pecos Bill does not conform to societal norms. He just does what he wants. And he is what he is. And what he is a wild but passionate person. And that's, I think, what makes him an interesting character. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.